Hi, this is a conversation with Dr. Tracy Guzio, the director of the Honors Center, about writing blurbs for Cardinal Foundation seminars. As director of the Honors Center, she has written a lot of these blurbs, has helped a lot of faculty develop these blurbs. And so we're going to have a little conversation to help you in developing yours, and then I'm going to ask you for one so that we can distribute them to the incoming students and they have a sense of what the classes are that they are going into. Tracy, I know that you've been working on writing attractive blurbs for honors seminars for years. Why do you think it matters what the blurb even says? If the content of the course is good, why do we have to worry about the blurb?
Well, when students are put into classes, especially in their first year, some of that is really kind of against their will almost, it's a requirement for their major, or they've been told they have to take, something 101, and they don't really know what any of that means. And so part of this is, they have a language and we have a language, and those two really haven't been introduced to one another yet. And so since they have to choose these classes, in most cases, at least from honors, before they even arrive, we want to try to think about that audience of new students coming into college, completely not certain what to expect here. But we want them to be engaged and excited about these classes, and to see them as opportunities for following their interest or learning something new. So that's a completely different audience than most professors have to deal with when they're writing up course descriptions that have to follow very specific parameters or learning outcomes or something. And so we definitely want to get away from that, because students don't care about that. They really don't. They have no interest in what the learning outcomes, at least at this level. They're just looking for something, where they feel that they can land, that sounds, interesting, and, they might have fun doing it. And so I do kind of ask professors to lessen the, the kind of jargony stuff that we're all used to lessen, what the outcomes will be. You will learn this by the end, and really to think of it as advertising. So in another life, I used to write special events blurbs, essentially, and, get people to come to a special event in this casino I worked in. And so I kind of have that in mind when I think about this. You're trying to encourage students to come to this class, give them a sense from the title what it's going to be, and not our usual titles, introduction to something or something, but give them a sense of what they're going to be thinking about, what the big question is, what the big theme is for the class, and have that embedded in the title, hopefully in a somewhat fun way, not like totally off the rails fun, but something that's a little creative. And then the blurb is, asking faculty to try to sell the class. I mean, I hate to be almost crass here, but you want the students to understand what they're going to get from this that appeals to students, as well as do what we need the class to do. So that's what my usual spiel is for people writing a blurb. Think about your audience.
So can you give any more detail about what makes a good blurb?
Not too long, but it does need to, grab the student either by that title or the first couple of sentences. So I'll use an example of a course that I teach, which is, Salem witch trials, for example, right? Now, I don't do anything with that title. It's just out there, but they don't really know what that's going to entail. So in the first couple of sentences, I may just, throw out some ideas about how do the witch trials affect us today? What really caused the witch trials? Just kind of those questions actually get them kind of interested and engaged in wow, maybe this is something I could learn more about.
Mhm.
And so I find questions at the beginning very helpful. Here, you want to learn about this? This is the kind of stuff we're going to do. They do want to know what kind of work you're going to ask them to do. And so towards the end of a blurb, um, I will, include there will be thoughtful group projects and presentations and maybe an essay or two. I don't give too much detail, but they do want to have a sense that they're not walking into a trap where they're going to have, just hours and hours and hours of homework. So you need to give them a little bit of a bite of that just to get a sense. And they like to see diversity. They like to know that they're going to be doing a couple of different things. So, and I'm getting this actually from student feedback because we have students on the Honors Council who review the course proposals. And the first thing that they always say is, this looks like too much work. It's not clear to me what we're going to be doing in this class. So they don't need a lot of detail, but they do need a kind of hint about what they may be doing. And then they want to look for something that sounds interesting. So those are the two things that students really look at when they see a blurb.
Okay. So I do have some colleagues who like to put in things like no tests or sensitive content included. Is that a good idea? What do you think about that level of detail?
I think if you're in a course at honors, of course, we don't have exams. So we don't really need to have to do that because there's already, the awareness that we don't do that. But I think that some students like to hear that actually. If it's going to be more writing based or presentation based, I think they like to hear that no tests, that this is not a test based type of course, that it's discussion based. And if that's what is happening, more discussion, small group interaction, they like to know that. That's actually, I think, what especially first year students want to feel is happening in a class. And I know that even from, my daughter's, starting to look at courses at colleges she's considering, and she's really looking at that kind of detail. Like, is this going to be a small class? Am I going to get to talk in this class, or is this a huge class where I'm just going to be in the back? So I think especially when they're coming to a place that they're trying to transition into, they want to feel that there are going to be a few places where they might get to know other students. So emphasize, small discussions, not many tests, I think that's okay. And I think if there's a real serious concern about trigger warnings, that this is a class that might really upset some students, I think that's okay to put in. Some students may look for that.
Mhm. Okay. So what else have you thought of that we should know about blurbs?
I think titles are really important. The word introduction should be stricken from all titles. It just doesn't mean anything to them, right? They're not thinking about this as a beginning to something else. So, in another class that I teach, and I'm not good about this all the time. There are a few that I need to go back and work on myself. But another class I teach is really a course on American Gothic literature. And nobody actually really knows what that means. So my title is Fear and Form, because really what I try to do is talk about how this developed as a form because of anxiety in different cultures over time. And the minute fear is in there, I just like, ooh, what's this? Just that one word. So I think the titles are actually really important. And we're not very good at it as as faculty because our titles tend to be more conference paper titles. We'll get at honors like these really long titles with colons, and the secretary just laughs because she's like, I can't put all this in here. So you gotta pull back a bit on that academic language and really sell it as a special event, right? This is
Mhm.
what are we going to do here that's going to be kind of interesting. And that I think that's hard for us because we're so trained to do other types of titles. So
That's
I
great.
would say really focus on the title.
Okay. All righty. I think you've given us a little bit at least to go forward with, and we will work on it from here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And let me know if I can help anybody.
Excellent. Thank you.